Welcome to the Love City Arts Podcast. I'm Andre in the Flow. I wanted to create a space where artists could come together and encourage all of humanity through the arts. So welcome to that space. For more information, to follow my journey and the journey of all of our artists, visit andreintheflow.com and lovecityarts.org. Please enjoy today's episode, and thanks for listening. Jess Grippo is an artist, dancer, and dance facilitator. She creates spaces for dance and human connection so that we all can feel a bit less alone on this journey of life. As a creativity coach, she helps people access their creative expression so they can radically reinvent themselves and their world, especially in times of transition. After spending years completely distanced from dancing, she now revives dance in her life in her own way, as a vehicle for personal fulfillment, authenticity, and growth, as well as a modality to provide guidance and support for others on their journey. Join me now in my conversation with Jess Grippo as we discuss letting go in a new season, intuition within the body, the intuitive meanings behind dating, healing unconventional places, and the gift of human connection.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Love City Arts Podcast. I'm Andre in the Flow, and today I'm joined by Jess Grippo. She's a dancer, creativity coach, and founder of the You Can Dance Again program that's based in New York City.
Thanks so much for having me, Andre.
So glad to have you. What's been going on lately in your life?
Well, that is a very big question.
It's a loaded question, I know.
I know. Well, the latest is that I've been taking dance breaks in the park and channeling anger. I've been present to a lot of just buried emotions these days, and I'm finding it so therapeutic to play some really good music with a lot of deep beats in it and just stomp it out and dance it out, and that's been great.
So are you waking up in the morning and feeling compelled to just bang on things, or how's this? What's
in a way.
What's causing this to rise up that you can discuss?
I think there's a lot of things. I would say it's a combination of some personal health issues within my family that has just caused some stress and some things that are happening that are a little bit emotional. And I think the other side of it is also just it's right now as we're recording this, it's springtime in New York City, the beginning of spring, and for me, this season is a lot about just breaking free, shaking off the winter, the stuckness, what are you birthing? What's coming out of you new this year? And actually, it's according to Chinese medicine, springtime is associated with the emotion anger, which I know because I was a women's health coach for 8 years. But that's a side note.
Yeah.
But it's
I didn't know that. What's so angry about spring?
Well, so one of the things, from the Chinese medicine perspective, right, your liver is the organ that is most active and receptive to change at that time. And your liver detoxes, right? Your liver releases stuff that has been stored up. I mean, every day your liver is detoxing no matter what. That's its job. It siphons through all the blood in your body every day. And, but what happens is after the winter, we typically, we're hibernating a lot in the winter. I mean, not literally these days, but we're eating heavier foods. We're, needing a little more padding on our bodies to stay warm in the winter. And so when springtime comes, it's like a melting away of what we've been storing. It's a releasing, it's a letting go. And every season in Chinese medicine is associated with a different emotion that can become more prominent during that time. My own theory around this too is just that, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I feel like this every year, but this year in particular, I'm really feeling in alignment with it, where it's just like, aside from the family stuff that I mentioned, it's like, you know, personal things that I'm like, why am I still tolerating this? Or why am I still sabotaging myself in certain areas? Or like, you know, why am I holding back? Or whatever it is, like, or just like societal things that I'm pissed off about, that it's like, you know, why are these things still happening? And it just, it helps to activate that energy and to release it in a healthy way, which I feel like is, I don't know about you, but I don't think I had many models of healthy anger release in my life.
Sure didn't.
Something that isn't really talked about. You either? What was it like for you?
Yeah,
anger?
in fact, it's very interesting, and this could be a reach, but all of the listeners know that I can be woo-woo. I just had an aunt pass and transition on last week from liver cancer, and I'm one of those Louise Hay, you can heal your life type of people that believes that there's a body, mind, and spirit connection within us all. And the fact that liver cancer, which is you know, as you're saying, in charge of stored up energy and cleansing, you know, I know for fact that this aunt on her deathbed said that she had not processed all of her emotions. She's like, I didn't think that it would end this way. I didn't think that it would all happen this way. And so, I mean, you know, and then her brother, who's my dad, died from cancer about 3 years ago and refused to go and, you know, seek proper medical attention, but was like a perpetually angry person who was holding on to so much anger and energy. And I believe that, I personally hold that anger and pain held in the body manifests itself as disease and will show up as our body being thrown out of alignment. So my father, who was a very, very angry person and a very aggressive person and was often mean-spirited as a weird, warped form of love, he held this anger and then passed it on to his, or I guess, was that way towards his empathic, really, really sensitive gay son. And it didn't turn out so well. Lots of tears and lots of pain. So yeah, there was no healthy form of expression of anger and pain for me as well. So yeah, I guess you got a little bit of that as well going on.
Yeah, well, I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry for the younger you who grew up in that kind of environment too.
Well, you know, I feel this way about transitions. You know, what's real cannot be destroyed. And so the love that my father did show and the love that my aunt did show, beyond all of their pain and stored up anger, the love remains. And back to it's a crazy pivot, but back to the stomping out of anger, which you're doing in parks these days. How do you feel about me drawing the connection between a lot of indigenous tribes would use stomping as a way to move energy and to shake things up? Do you feel like a little bit of that's going on when you are out in the bushes?
Yeah, I do.
What are you trying to shake loose? What are you trying to shake loose, Jess Grippo?
I didn't even think of that, but I love thinking of that. You know, that connection, the connection to the earth, and, you know, tribes for centuries, or, you know, more than centuries, who probably have done that for all of time. The things that you know, it's interesting, like living in the city, right, and in our modern day culture here in the United States, how distant we can be from those things that keep us healthy, that were like, at one point it was so natural. It would be, right, like back in the day, and right, whatever tribes or whatever it was, people like knew that, like, okay, yeah, you got to stomp it out or you're going to get sick. And and now we're like, I need to go sit
stop,
in
girl.
a therapist's office. Yeah,
right.
Right now, it's like, now we sit in the therapist's office and talk for an hour, and we think that we've taken care of our anger or whatever. But it's like, I don't know about that. Like, I think there's more. There's this book that I randomly picked up called The Book of Secrets. It's a Deepak Chopra book. And I literally have just read it just in the introduction. You have it? Do you remember it at all?
I have it. I have not read it yet. I must confess, but it was given to me at a holistic medicine event. Go on. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What about it?
Well, it's interesting because it's like, it's sitting on this bookshelf at my parents' house in New Jersey, and I've been spending some time there. It's actually cancer related too, which is interesting that you mentioned that. We got so many connections, Andre. And so, like, I'm on my way out. I'm heading back to New York, and I was like, I see this book, and I've seen it so many times, and I just like picked it up. I think I bought it at one point. I don't even know, but it's there, and I picked it up. And one of the things that it talks about is like, the secret is this thing that's already inside of you, and our thoughts, like our perpetual thinking and being like, our brains are like, we're in the day where, I don't know if I'm going to get this totally correct, so don't quote me on it, but the idea is that we run so much on the front of our brains, right? Which is thinking and analyzing, and, you know, it's very cerebral in that sense, right? And these other parts of our brains, which again, I can't remember the exact term, so I'm not even going to try, but with that are connected to more baser instincts and our intuition and our feeling, have been kind of covered up. And in the past, before humans started relying so much on the front of their brains, humans were so connected, like we could feel things that were going on. We would know when it would rain before it rained. We would, you know, like
intuitively,
so in touch intuitively, yeah, with everything, you know, with like what our body needed. And so that's literally just in like the introduction of the book. I haven't read beyond it, so I can update you. Maybe we could start a book club. But it was fascinating to me, because I was like, that's so, you know, like, yeah, like, these kind of things used to be just a part of who we were, like these more animalistic, I guess, sides, right? So I'm all about bringing that back.
Do you have a recent example of when your intuition served you, served your higher purpose?
That's a good question.
Like a moment when you looked like you were like, you know, I knew this person was a bleepity bleep, or I knew that this was the right way for me to go down the street.
Well, I don't really want to get into my dating life, but there's like definitely examples from that world.
Okay, noted. Okay, fine.
I was like, I don't know, this is going nowhere, but I don't know. He's cute. He's nice.
Okay. Let's talk about this. You don't have to go into detail, but let's talk about this, because this I'm sure is a lot of our listeners' stories, where you're swiping, you get that initial like, hey. For me, it's a little more tangible. The HRU for like how are you, or the what's good, or the I forgot. There's one recently that I'm just like, I hope that no one ever says this thing. Says like, what you doing? WYD ? That's the one that gets.
Oh, what you doing? That's what it stands for.
Yeah, but they don't even spell it out. They just go WYD ? And I'm not sure if it's intuition or just annoyance. I'm like, I'm doing plenty. And you could have used a few more letters, but once again, we're not here to air grievances. But I use that as kind of a intuitive kind of like, oh, perhaps it could be a prejudgment. I hope that's not how this is received, but I just see that as like there's a certain amount of alignment with energy that I want to have with a potential suitor. And WYD question mark is not necessarily an alignment. So I use that to inform the way in which I'm going to allow the situation to unfold. What say you?
What say me on that?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, not about me. Just like how do you approach your? Is there an example of you approaching Tinder? Maybe Jess Grippo is on Tinder.
It's interesting. I was on Tinder. I was most recently on Bumble. But it's funny because I go through phases with the swiping apps, where I'm like, yeah, this is great. This is empowering. Look at all these options. And it, it kind of like renews my hope that there are people out there in a way, but then it can get real frustrating real fast. And I actually, this is a slight tangent, and then I don't want to lose my thought about what you shared.
Live on this podcast. You better live on this podcast. Go.
I already can't believe the direction that we're going. It's so funny what we talked about so far. Not funny, like just really interesting and unexpected. But I created a whole dance comedy piece called Bumble No More. And it's like, it starts with me sitting on a chair with my phone in my hand, swiping, and the music progressively gets like creepier and more angry, and so do I in the dance. I think it's pretty funny. It's very cathartic, I must say, to do the dance, which is part of the reason why I created it, which there you go. It brings it back to dance in some way, right?
Yeah, I mean, is this available somewhere for people to see?
Oh yeah, totally. It's on I think it's on YouTube. It's on my website under the dancing tab. There is something where I have like videos of past performances, and it's up there if you want to check it out.
Bumble No More.
Yeah. But
for all of it.
Yeah. And I think where intuition comes in with all this too, for me, my intuition told me to like get off of those apps recently, and I did. And so this is like probably around like maybe over the holidays or so, I think. I don't remember when it was, but I was just kind of like, I was like, because it's similar to you. I was just like, I don't know if this is really serving me. I don't know if it ended up, the fact that I made a dance about it that was like a highly like frustrated dance told me something that I'm like, you know what, like maybe I don't need to be on this app. And then it was kind of like that decision prompted me meeting people in real ways. And
imagine that,
and this was like last year. It was this whole revelation where I was like, wow, like I met someone. I went to the local live music place down the block from me here by myself one night because I was like, I just need to get out. Ended up meeting someone there and like just like connecting and talking about, just like laughing. Like it was just such a funny, we ended up throwing a pumpkin in the middle of the street together, like just doing like random.
You ended up throwing a pumpkin in the middle of the street?
Yeah. I don't even know why.
As you do on a Thursday night in New York City.
Exactly. It was, it was very Garden State. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it reminds me of that kind of energy that those two had. But there were, and then like more experiences kept showing up where I felt like something shifted, where by connecting to my intuition and being like, I'm going to close down these apps that are just frustrating me and they don't feel like good to be on. And in doing so, I think it opened up another portal for me to like actually meet people. And so yeah.
That's awesome. Well, one thing I knew about you from having worked, not necessarily in direct collaboration, but having you to one of the healing gatherings, having you your awesome team, I know that your intuition has led you to creating awesome dancing programming here in New York City. And that your flow has kind of just caused you to create healing spaces. I've sat in on the end of some of your workshops and showcases and just really seen how you've been able to use the transformative power of dance in order to allow women to come alive in ways that they otherwise may have not. Can you tell me a little bit about how your intuition caused you to create and inspire people through You Can Dance Again?
Yeah, sure. Well, it started out, as I think most things do, as it was something that my soul needed, and intuitively, I started to realize as I started to listen more that I needed to dance again. I'd spent a long time distant from dance. I was working as a women's health coach. I was helping people, which is what I wanted to do. And yet I wasn't dancing. I wasn't being active as an artist. And there was something in me that felt like it was dying in a way. And so I didn't, at the time I was just like, all right, well, I'm going to figure out a way to do it. And I started making my own dance videos. And I would, in my tiny bedroom studio apartment, I would just make a random dance video, or I would go to the park. The park actually became a place of great inspiration to just find a place where if there weren't many people around, where I could just move in nature. And I started doing that more often. And it's funny because at the time I was I knew there was a bigger purpose, but it wasn't all clear at the time. I was just cool. I like making dance videos. This feels really good. I'm expressing myself in some way. I'm releasing some energy. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to keep doing it. And then that became my practice. And once life stuff started to happen more, my dad had a debilitating stroke and almost died. No. Became disabled. No. I moved across the country and then broke up and then moved back. All this, when shit really started to go down, because this was when I was probably 27, which I love throwing out random facts about things that aren't totally related to what I do. According to astrology, your Saturn return starts around age 27. Yes.
I believe.
We can get into all that. But it was I was lifey stuff was happening, right? And then I was oh, this is why I started dancing again. Because if I didn't have dance during all those things, I would have crumbled. I don't think I would have gotten through it in a very healthy, sustainable way. Because dance for me was this thing that then, if it was in the hospital lobby, or if it was in the basement of my parents' house, or if it was running out to some random park in LA, or whatever it was, where I could find my own center again, connect to my body, process things that my brain couldn't, right? Getting to that deeper level of the body and the spirit and our intuition. That was my saving grace. And so it's interesting. So then moving through all that, long story short, my coaching practice, I started to transition it into creativity coaching from the women's health stuff. And then that became even more specific around dance. And I started to form a group, and I found other people in New York City who were also hell yeah, I want to dance again too. I've been so scared of it and I don't know why, or this thing is going on in my life and now more than ever I want to return to dance. But most people that I met anyway in New York City in particular would be but I don't really want to do Zumba, or it's too intimidating to go to Broadway Dance Center or one of those places. Or I've actually heard from multiple people, they've told me, I actually bought a pass to Broadway Dance Center and I never used it. They bought a 10-class pack years ago and never used it.
What?
And that's a thing that happens. Yeah. Because
they were intimidated by just
intention.
Yeah.
The intentions there, the desires there, but it's freaking intimidating to walk into a room of professional dancers or aspiring professional dancers, especially when you haven't danced in a long time. And so I knew that I was oh, and then there's also a lot of free form, there's 5 rhythms and things like that are more spiritual free form dances, which are also fantastic. But not everybody feels comfortable in that environment, or some people want to do more choreography based things or be more creative, whatever it is. So I knew that I was there's something I need to create that happy medium that's it's none of those things, but it's maybe a little bit of all of them, right? It's like, it's a dance class where you can come, where you can be yourself, where you don't have to prove anything to anyone, where you get to meet and collaborate with your fellow dancers, not just be some random face that shows up and then leaves right after. You know, it's like, it's about creating community. And creating this community and has been so powerful too. And it's, you know, this was like, when I was 27, right? That was like around the time that I was started. I said I'm 34 now, right? So it's been a while. And now that this community exists, so with everything that happened last year with my mom getting cancer and kind of like my whole life changing yet once again, the one thing in my work life, thank you. The one thing in my work life that I was able to maintain was the You Can Dance Again program. Other things fell away, like private clients kind of just naturally people ended, and I just wasn't signing up other people. Like I just didn't have the bandwidth. You know, I took on other kinds of work that was less maybe emotionally intensive, I guess. But the one thing that like I continued to foster was this community. And because it was a community, and because then those Monday nights when we had our session was like the one night a week where I felt once again connected to myself, to a higher spirit, to love, to whatever you want to call it, right? Like it almost brings me tears to think about that it's like, you know, it started out as this little whisper of something, and it's dance in this way has now, you know, it's like, it's, I don't know, held me, saved me in multiple ways going forward. And I think a lot of the women in the program could say the same, you know, like it's, I think dance is such a beautiful, powerful outlet for life, you know, because life happens. It does happen. And I think we all need some sort of a outlet and community to move through it, which is also why I love what you're doing too, because music is so essential for dance. And people, you know, like not everybody dances. Some people sing, some people, you know, play instruments, whatever it is, like
they paint and they, you know, they spoken word. Like, I mean, I usually don't shameless plug on the show, but I mean, you know, that's why Love City Arts exists, just to whatever your freak flag is in the arts, fly it here. Because you're worth it and you're worthy of that expression. And like you just said, it could be the very thing that kind of heals you and brings you out of a dark space. Tell me about a time when you were in a really, really dark night of the soul, and you know, maybe that was it just now, but like, were there any other times when you kind of felt like, oh, I don't know if this is actually working? I know I've had those moments here in the city where it's like, I gotta get on this train again. I gotta leave this house again. Like, have there been moments when you felt that dark night? And then more importantly for our listeners, like, what was your process beyond dance, or in addition to dance, of this team?
Well, in a way, I'm still in one, or I'm like coming out of one right now, I would say.
I honor your I deeply honor and respect you for saying that right now, because it allows me and all of these listeners to hold space. So you're kind of there right now, you're saying.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the upswing from it. But I think the dark night of the soul has been the things that I've been experiencing have just kind of like shaken up my routine, my world, like kind of what really matters anymore. Things have been stressful in different ways, and my body, like my mind, my soul has definitely been feeling it, you know. Definitely have gone through mornings where I don't feel like getting out of bed and really doing anything, or, you know, like there's been a lot of waves and versions of it happening. And I would say, aside from dance, which has definitely been a huge huge help for me. Getting support has been a huge help for me. For anybody, if anybody is going through anything with cancer, cancercare.org, Gilda's Club are both awesome and provide resources and counseling for people going through cancer and for their caregivers.
Wow. That
was amazing for me because I started seeing a therapist because of it and through that organization. And it was great, not to be cheesy, but it's like the breakdowns become an opportunity for healing. And I think that the breakdown that has happened has opened up a lot more healing than I expected or knew even needed to happen. So I think for me, the most important thing is to not be alone in it. It's one thing to of course, have alone time and connect to yourself and connect to whatever form of spirituality works for you if you have a form, I think that is highly important, and connecting to myself has been really important, and meditating. But it's when I get in the funk, it's easy to isolate. It's easy to just be I'm just going to watch Netflix now and shut the world out, or I'm just going to eat a pint of ice cream and call it a day, or I'm just going to run around like a crazy person trying to do things. When you have I'm going to be busy, I'm going to do stuff, and then you end up being totally unproductive because really your body just wants to rest or go for a walk, but you've been sitting at your computer trying to work. So when I get into those moments, now I know to catch myself and I call up a friend. And it's amazing, just by calling someone and connecting to another human being and just being I'm so blah. And they're oh my God, me too. And blah, 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 whatever it is. It's there's certain people that I can call and connect to where I'm oh yeah, okay, I'm a human. I'm not the only one feeling this, or who has ever felt this. I'm not alone. It's gonna be all right. And then after that, I find more clarity in being you know what, maybe I do just need to take a nap right now, or maybe going for a walk in the park would be a good thing, So it's instead of, and again, it's staying in that head mode where I think through everything is what keeps me stuck.
I have often felt as of late that and just walk down this path with me, if you will, that the great magnet, all that is, whatever you esteem that which that is bigger than us, whatever you call it Shama the Llama Ding Dong if you want to, whatever that is, I believe that it created this almost not a flaw, but a special little mechanism within us, a special little combination lock within us that can only be unlocked by our direct interaction with those who love us and direct interaction with those who care about us. Without them, our whole lives could unlock. We could be in a dark night of the soul and not really know how to how to unlock the freedom. And it's almost like we're designed to need other people mirroring back to us how great we are, or mirroring back to us a level of compassion that just breaks us up and sets us free. And I think that's within us all. I think that's to live a life. I've tried to live, I can do this on my own. I'm going to get myself out of this spot. I don't need nobody. I created this mess. I can get myself out. And I think that I've found that it works for a temporary moment, but it never quite sticks, because I believe that we were fashioned from the very beginning to be community-driven beings. And that's a combination. The person who held a combination to unlock your love code within was that friend you called. And the power in reaching out is that she goes, all right, left 24 with a little compassion, right 35 with a little affirmation, left 15 with a laugh, with a giggle. You just did it for me. I've been here sitting in this office all day trying to figure out how to break out, and your laughter with me and your laugh right now was my my right 25. And so it's cool that we need each other in
analogy.
this way.
That is beautiful. That is brilliant. Yes.
It took me a minute
You're
to get there.
You're definitely one of my code unlockers too, for sure.
Oh, I love you. I love you.
Hi, it's Jess Grippo here, founder of You Can Dance Again, and I'm so honored to be in your eardrum right now via the Love City Arts podcast. Andre, thank you for having me. And while I'm here, I wanted to be sure you guys all knew about a really inspiring show that's happening June 29th and 30th in Brooklyn. It's designed to awaken the need in all of us to put dance, art, and our bodies into our lives in our own unique way in a world that can so often try to keep us disconnected. It's called the Dance Rebels Revival Show, and I would love for you to be there. Use the code LOVECITYARTS, all in caps, all one word. That's LOVECITYARTS at checkout for discounted tickets, and Andre will include the link below. You can find it on my website, jessgrippo.com. Your ticket purchase also includes free access to my online dance revival program called Dance Alone Together. It's a series of videos you can watch from the comfort of your home and get moving in your body right now.
What do you feel like your life mission is as we head on out of here? What do you feel like your life mission is all about?
Oh, my goodness. These questions are like all encompassing. Oh my goodness. What is my life mission?
Well, your life is so big. I mean, all of our lives are so big, but like your life is massively full of wonderful things. So
I think my life mission, on one hand, I think my life mission is to somehow go on tour with Lady Gaga.
All right.
Kind of a joke, but
no, hey, believe it and receive it.
But my other life mission is to I feel like I just want to change the game in the dance world a bit. I think the dance world can be elitist and competitive and non-accepting, and I would love to make an impact in that way of just making dance more accessible and joyful and creative and more able to be a part of people's lives for the long haul rather than something that they do when they're little and then forget about it and then feel terrible years later when they remember that they used to dance. And for the young girls, too, who grow up in environments that we have to do a whole other podcast episode. You know what I'm saying?
To talk about like competitive dance and the trial of competitive dance world. Yeah.
Exactly. Like that whole world. You know what I mean? So it's like I want to create something else like with dance and so if I guess that would be my mission. At least for now.
Man, I bless your journey in that because not only is it part of your mission for the future, Jess Grippo, but it's something that you're doing right now today, and it's happening with very tangible effect. I've seen the tears in the eyes of these souls as they have been unlocked by your presence, number one. But more importantly, by the gift that you're giving them to come alive and realize that they can dance again. Where can people find your work and your collective?
Well, there's a couple of places. I would say follow me on Instagram, where I tend to post the most things, and I'm at Jess Grippo on there. We also have an at You Can Dance Again. And then my website, jessgrippo.com, has a link to pretty much everything on there. You can find You Can Dance Again through there. You can find the coaching work. You could find my Bumble No More dance video, whatever your flavor is, it's on there.
That's awesome. I can't wait for people to go and check you out because what you're doing is amazing. And I think I've been seeing you recently dancing under hand dryers.
Oh, yes. My latest dance video adventure is #public bathroom dances. And I like to make random dance videos with hand dryers or not. There have been some without, but yes.
It's just you finding, I mean, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
it's literally you finding, it's you. What I love about your energy, what I love about you is that in addition to like zero fucks given, #0 fucks given, you find bliss wherever it is, wherever bliss finds you. So if it's in a meadow, that's where love and joy is abiding. If it's under this damn hairdryer in this restroom, that's where. And people need to stop being so. We don't have enough time. You don't have to come back on another episode. We can talk about this, but like, people need to stop cordoning off or like categorizing where and where not joy can like abide. Like it can rock your life by the daffodils. Yeah. It can rock your life under this hand dryer. It can rock your life in a boat, in a moat, Sam. I am. Yeah. Like where do you like? Where? Yeah. That's what I love about the videos. Because at first glance, when I'm watching them, I'm like, what is she doing in there? And then once I pull a Rafiki from The Lion King and I look harder. Look harder. When I look harder, it's not curls under a hand dryer. It's joy. It is, and sometimes I can tell for you as I read your mail in front of this national audience. Sometimes I can tell for you that it's like joy overflowing, and then other times I can tell for you that you're literally cultivating it and like generating it. It's like I may not have had joy in this bathroom, but this is how you whip up a batch, and you can whip up a batch of joy wherever you damn well please, because that is your birthright on the planet, and you, Jess Grippo, are showing people the way in more ways than you realize.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and it like. He's so giggly to hear you talk about the hand dryer dance videos in that way. And you know, when I first started doing them, it was literally just this impulse. It was like, here I am, I'm going to do this. And for whatever reason, there was music playing in the bathroom, and I was like, oh, hey, let me do something with this. Or like, I was nervous about whatever appointment I had to go do next, and I was like, let me just dance it out. But after the fact, when I think about it, I'm like, the bathroom is where shit happens, right? It's like a metaphor. The bathroom is literally where shit happens. Yep. So why, like, if you can dance where shit happens, you can dance anywhere. You can dance through life. So I think that's a good note to end on.
That is a good note to end on. All right, fill in these blanks for me, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah, moral of the story, just, dance where shit happens and be more joyful and happier. There you go.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, fill in these blanks. Love is?
Love is connection and all around us if we want to find it.
Joy is?
Dancing in public bathrooms under hand dryers.
You better believe it is. I gotta find me one right now. Too bad my office has napkins, and that's not as fun. But we'll work on it. And then freedom is?
Ooh, freedom's my favorite. Freedom is choice. Freedom is deciding how you are going to be. Not just what you're going to do, but how you're going to be, how you're going to feel, what you're going to do with the emotions and thoughts that come up.
Yes, it's Dancing in the Rain. Well, what I can say is that you make me want to dance in the rain, and you really, really caused joy to rise within me today on the podcast. Thank you for being here. Would you come back sometime soon and kick it with us? I love
say that
you.
one more time. I love you too. Thanks so much for having me.
So would you come back sometime and kick it with us?
Absolutely. Anytime.
Cool.
Just let me know. It was so great being here and talking with you, Andre. Thank you.
Yes.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, I want to invite you to like, share, comment, and tweet about this episode. Your comments help me to make this podcast the best that it can be and continue to share the love. Don't forget to pass this episode on to someone that you may know that might need an extra pick-me-up as well. Also, feel free to visit lovecityarts.org. We've got more episodes, monthly giveaways, upcoming in-person events, uplifting blogs, and a book club on the way. Love City exists to uplift artists, the ones that love them, and the inner creative genius in us all. Thanks so much for listening, and stay tuned for another uplifting episode from the Love City Arts Podcast.